Let's analyze the Jurassic World Rebirth trailer shot by shot and see what kind of hidden gems we can discover. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, you can check it out in full on the channel along with my reaction to the trailer. Overall, I think it's a really good trailer, but it does show a lot, and by analyzing it, we might discover even more, so do be warned for spoilers. The trailer starts off calm with a visit to the museum. From yesterday's article, we know this wing, where Dr. Henry Loomis works at, is being shut down, and we can see that happening, with the fossils being packed up and the banner being lowered as an Easter egg to that iconic scene from the first film. Zora Bennett and Martin Krebs have come to recruit Henry for a mission, much to his surprise. They explain that they need DNA from the biggest dinosaurs, which very conveniently are all in the same place, and that's where they have to go. And while that dialogue plays, we get our first glimpse at these giant animals. We get some shots of Henry and Zora in the tall grass, and we can see this low-hanging fog, which in combination with some movie magic will hide the first dinosaurs until they are ready for their big reveal. And what a reveal it is when we finally get our first look at the new sauropod, Titanosaurus. I will say I wasn't a fan of this rumored design, like sails on a sauropod, but it actually works quite well, taking inspiration I think from species like Amargasaurus, and the long tail is inspired by and an exaggeration of the long whip-like tail of the Diplodocus. I'm actually quite a fan of this design, which I wasn't expecting to be, and I also love that we get some color and patterning on this dinosaur with like the reddish color on the spines and the lighter banding on the neck and the tail. The Titanosaurus in the back is just getting up from the ground, possibly also explaining why they didn't see these creatures from all the way across the field in combination with the fog. We also get our first look at the Quetzalcoatlus, but we'll see it much better later. Again, this trailer reveals so much. I'm really surprised at how much dinosaur or prehistoric creature we see in the trailer. It makes me maybe a little worried that they're not saving enough secrets for a second trailer and of course the movie itself, but you know, at the moment I'm having fun with all of the reveals. Back in the museum, Henry seems hesitant, but Zora promises that she can keep him safe, more or less. And it's this caveat of more or less that rightfully concerns him. I wonder how they do eventually persuade him to come to the island. Maybe, just like Alan Grant, it's just a matter of promising to pay for a dig or some sort of research. And we do know from yesterday's article that Dr. Henry Loomis has history with Dr. Alan Grant, but unfortunately no clues in the trailer about what that connection might be. There are quite a few humorous one-liners in this trailer, and Zora as a character is very blasé in most of the scenes we see of her. I'll get back later to my opinion on that. Along with recruiting Henry for the mission, they go to Suriname to recruit Duncan Kincaid, who we first see playing cards in a bit of a dilapidated cafe. Martin Krebs isn't impressed, but Zora assures him that they as a team are the best at moving things and people in and out of where they are not supposed to be. Where they are going is not confirmed yet, but there are some hints. The first of which being that they say they'll head towards Barbados to avoid government patrols. This seems to rule out any of the 5 deaths, as they are located in the Pacific off the west coast of Costa Rica, and Barbados is in the Atlantic Ocean to the east of Costa Rica. Now, they are not going to Barbados itself, but their destination must be around there for them to name drop Barbados. We get some shots of the island while in dialogue Duncan Kincaid talks about how there won't be many government patrols left, and when Martin Krebs asks why, Duncan laughs and he explains that it's because nobody is dumb enough to go where they are going. I do really like how this line establishes the danger of the island while also giving, I would say, a passable explanation of why the government isn't protecting the island as much as it definitely should be. We get our first look at Ed Skrine's character along with Bahir Sylvain. Both of these actors' names I definitely mispronounced. I'm sorry. And unfortunately we don't have their character names to fall back on, so bear with me. If I had to guess, I'd say Ed is one of the surprise bad guys. Surprise bad guys. He just has the face for it. Bahir, I think, is a good guy who is gonna die, and I think we even see when, but we'll get there later. We see them readying some futuristic looking weapons. This is your friendly reminder that this is a sequel taking place 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion. I got some questions yesterday from people who didn't know if it was a sequel or a prequel. In voiceover, Zora says that the island was the research facility for the original Jurassic Park. This should canonically be Sorna, but I don't think it is. Because of the Barbados reference, and also because I don't think we could have gone to Sorna for 2 full movies in the past and not come across any of the new dinosaurs we have in Jurassic World Rebirth. Henry and Duncan walk into an abandoned science lab, clearly disturbed by what they are discovering. This will probably be their first clue that there is something especially monstrous on the island for them to fear. In one of the preservation chambers, it looks like there is a 2-headed raptor, possibly one of the tiger-striped raptors we've seen on Sorna in the Lost World. This ties into the island being an island of misfit dinosaurs. As is said later on in the trailer, these were dinosaurs too dangerous to put into the park. Clearly some crazy experimentations went on here. Even for Dr. Wu standard, remember they did make an Indominus Rex for the park, so for this to be too dangerous to go into a park says a lot. The vial Henry is looking at with a dinosaur fetus has major xenomorph vibes, which is fitting as we'll discuss later. The trailer skips back to the tall grass scene. After encountering the Titanosaurus, they set their sights on their next target, the Quetzalcoatlus. Duncan and Bahir look up in awe at the 2 Quetzalcoatlus flying in between 2 cliffs. The trailer jumps back and forth along the timeline quite a bit. At the end of this video, I'll try to reorganize the scenes in chronological order, at least as far as I can predict. The team readies themselves at the top of the cliff to rappel down to the temple's opening to retrieve DNA from an egg in the Quetzalcoatlus nest. Martin wonders if they have to get the DNA from the egg, as obviously it's a dangerous endeavor to rappel down there, to which Henry cheekily responds that they could get it from the adults, but they are flying carnivores the size of fighter jets. I don't mind his quippy attitude, and I don't mind some humor sprinkled into the movie, but like I said earlier, there are quite a few of these quippy lines in the trailer, and again I'll get back to that at the end when we get the worst one of all in my opinion. I just hope that the trailer has been edited to make the most use of the humorous lines that there are in the film. You know, trailers do tend to do that. They go for a certain jokey vibe, at times at least. I think that's the case here, and that really the trailer is using basically all of these one-liners, and that the movie itself, you know, spread out over the entire runtime, won't feel as quippy as the trailer does, because I do think, you know, yeah, haha, you can get a short laugh out of this, but it also detracts from the peril that the characters are in and that you as a viewer are supposed to be experiencing as well. It looks like only Zora, Henry, and Bahir's character went down into the temple's entrance, with Bahir staying outside while Zora and Henry go in to collect the DNA sample. I feel like over the course of saying the name Bahir 5 times, I think I just did it again. I think I keep saying it differently every single time. I have no idea. I'm so sorry. As they are collecting the DNA from the egg, we see shadows flying over, indicating that the parents have returned, which the characters respond to with appropriate dread. Then we get our first good look at the Quetzalcoatlus, and again, I am shocked at how much this trailer actually reveals. I was not expecting to be seeing the Quetzalcoatlus in its full glory. I thought they would keep it to like silhouettes in the distance or shadows passing over ground, but nope, here it is. The Quetz has undergone a massive redesign. It's much smaller than what we got in Dominion, but still huge, of course. And I don't think anyone will be mad at them shrinking this pterosaur. It was massively oversized in Dominion, but I do think that the new design is controversial, especially the new crest placement, very far forward on the beak with a very sharp hook. All of these redesigns are, of course, canonically explained for the movie as them being cooked up differently in this, or on this island of misfit dinosaurs. So yeah, there is an in-movie explanation for it, but you know, as a viewer who was quite a fan of the Dominion Quetzalcoatlus design, my first takeaway is, why? I like the other one. The other one was good. You didn't have to change it. There's a saying for that. Don't change a winning team. So yeah, when asking myself the question, why? The cynical part in me thinks the answer to that question is to sell more toys. I'm sorry. The redesign, however, doesn't mean that the scene won't be awesome, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it in the theater. As I hinted at earlier, I think this is the scene where Bahir dies. I don't see how the Quetz doesn't just snatch him off the side of the cliff here. The Quetz also goes into the temple to protect its nest, and I do love how this scene, even though it's smaller than it was in Dominion, makes their size more impressive by putting them face to face with the human characters, rather than just joyriding on top of an airplane. To me, it feels much more dangerous this way. I'm not the biggest fan of Zora kicking it here. This is how characters survive dangerous dinosaur encounters nowadays, by punching or strangling dinosaurs with their bare hands and now kicking them. But I don't want to judge too harshly until we see it play out in the actual full scene. Now we cut to Henry coming to the realization that he is screwed as he gets pulled out of the temple by his climbing rope. Initially, I thought he was attached to Bahir, whose falling body would be dragging Henry out, but in this shot, we see the rope is coming straight out, even going up. So what I think is actually happening is the second Quetz parent might have snatched Bahir, either dead or alive, and is flying off with him, which is pulling Henry along. In the next shot, the rope is seen going far out of frame and has some slack after Henry's initial fall, and then the rope is pulled taut in the opposite direction. It's cut in the trailer to make it seem like Zora is pulling him in at that point, but I actually suspect there is part of the scene missing here. Henry might have been able to cut himself loose from Bahir and the Quetz, and then Zora has to catch him. Let me know in a comment down below how you think this scene plays out. I think it's just always fun to speculate. We have two shots teasing the upcoming scene with the mutant, but they are saving that reveal for a little later, first giving us a surprise first look at the Raptors. I love how the character's fearful, "Please tell me those aren't raptors," establishes how big of a threat raptors are, even among, you know, Quetzes and mutants. The return of actually scary raptors is so important to my OG Jurassic Park loving heart, and I really hope that Jurassic World Rebirth nails this. I do appreciate how the raptors are teased in this trailer, with a clear callback to the shot of the raptor claws in the kitchen scene of the original Jurassic Park. I do wish they would have used animatronic or puppet feet for this to make it look more realistic, because this is the one shot in the trailer where I was really like, yeah, okay, that's unfinished CGI. I say unfinished and not bad CGI because there is still 5 months of post-production left, during which time they can do a lot of work polishing up the CGI, and it is quite common for trailers to not have the final version of CGI, because, you know, they're still working on that. It's one of the last things they do. But if they had just gone with actual puppet raptor feet like in the original, it could have been a perfect shot for the trailer. But that's me being a nitpicky Jurassic Park fan who loves her animatronics. This is still a great little homage. And it looks like, just as the rumors said, the raptors would be whitish in color. Apparently they resemble the Jurassic Park 3 raptors, which, let's be honest, was peak raptor design, including the quills. Alright, even though we are nowhere near the end of the trailer, we are looking at the final act of the movie, I'm sure, with it being dark and the big bad mutant getting its reveal. First, let's pause to look at which characters survived until this point. It's a bit hard to see, but I'm pretty sure we are looking at Zora, the father, his 2 daughters, the teenage boy, Henry, and Duncan. So these people survived until the last act, and honestly I think only one of these is going to die in the remaining time. But now we have to talk about the mutant. whose arm comes into frame here. And we see that it walks on its knuckles like a gorilla. We get some terrified character reactions to the reveal of the mutated dinosaur, and after a time skip in the movie, we see it. And, yeah, that's a mutant. That's not a dinosaur. That's a mutant. I don't want to spend too long complaining about it here. I might make a separate video on it, honestly, but I'm not a fan of this. If people want to make a monster movie, that's cool, go do that. But then don't slap Jurassic on it? Now, the common defense of this is that mutations occur in nature, so it's natural. But this thing clearly isn't natural. It isn't just a mutated dinosaur anymore, it's straight up a monster. Gareth said in yesterday's article, in a paragraph I completely missed, that the design of the creature mixes T-Rex with Star Wars Rancor and Aliens Xenomorph. And yeah, those last two inspirations are very, very clear. And I think again, why? Why wasn't a real dinosaur scary enough? Hundreds of millions of years of prehistoric creatures to choose from, with the creative liberty that comes with the franchise to make some changes, and still they felt like they had to design a straight up monster? It's disappointing to me. All that being said, I'm not writing off the movie. I am still super excited. I'm gonna see it day 1, and day 2, and day 3. I'm still gonna go in with a positive and open mind. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean it will make the movie suck. They might use it brilliantly. I might walk out of the theater thoroughly impressed and convinced. But right now, I just think, couldn't an Acrocanthosaurus have been cool? Anyway, moving on. We have them escaping a facility in a stolen car, which I'm betting sets up a high-speed chase scene with some kind of dinosaur, potentially either the mutant or the raptors, since it's the nighttime part of the movie and we see both the mutant and the raptors at night. I do really like the claustrophobic feel of these two sets, and I hope and suspect this is where the raptors will terrorize them. In the last part of the trailer, it skips all over the timeline. One of my favorite reveals of this trailer is the reveal of the Dilophosaurus. If you've seen my trailer reaction video, you will have seen my face light up at that. And if you've listened to my audiobook, in which I wrote my own R-rated Jurassic World sequel with dinosaurs in our world, you know how much I love the Dilophosaurus. So yeah, I'm super happy to see it here. It was a good palate cleanser after the disappointment of the mutant reveal. And this line behind the foliage might be the outline of the sleeping T-Rex we see later. That would certainly make for a tense scene. The characters trying not to wake up a sleeping Rex while encountering a Dilophosaurus. Now they have to survive the Dilo without making too much noise. This shot is the most confusing one in the trailer to me. I have no idea where this belongs on the timeline. My first thought was that this has to be a flashback as the mutant looks smaller and the facility seems fully operational here, but I'm not sure. I can't really recognize the face of the person getting locked in with the mutant, so that isn't helping me figure it out either. I'd love to read your ideas in a comment down below. And also, letting you know, I will be live on Sunday with a Jurassic talk stream in which we're going to be going over the trailer frame by frame, and everyone in the livestream chat can chime in with their thoughts and theories, and we're just gonna geek out and speculate and all that good stuff. So yeah, if you want to join in on that, do hit the subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss that. As was revealed yesterday, we are getting part of the novel's river raft sequence in Jurassic World Rebirth, and I think these are scenes from that. With the Rex first waking up from its slumber on the riverbed, and then coming into the water to snap at the father character. The water is very shallow here, shallow enough for the Rex to be able to walk along the bottom, so I'm not sure if in this adaptation of the river raft scene we'll actually get to see it swim, but I do hope so. Henry drops an ominous line that survival is a long shot, and then the trailer goes back to what I think is very early on in the movie for the epic scene of the three Spinos working together with the Mosasaurus, as is confirmed in dialogue. It's a big surprise for the two different species to be working together this way, but I do like it. In a franchise that has become most known for its big dino versus dino fights, it's actually a pretty interesting and refreshing take to see two species work together, and I'm really curious to see how this plays out. The Spinosaurus redesign is a mixed bag for me though. First of all, I have to admit, I was hoping for the return of the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus design, but alas. It's disappointing, but as long as the new design is good, it's okay. However, the design has some good and some bad, in my opinion. I really like the sail and the colors on the sail. It looks like they have a paddle tail, which I think is cool, but I don't like the redesign of the face, which we can see very clearly here. This is vastly inferior to the Jurassic Park 3 Spino. And the neck looks really bad here. Very clearly inspired by Komodo dragons with its thickness and the skin folds. I just don't like how it looks. It doesn't look as short in the other scenes, so I'm hoping this angle just makes it look worse than it is. So the design I'm not hyped about, but I am hyped to see them swimming out in open water. It also looks like they have a small dominance fight with each other before attacking the ship, and that combined with working together with the Mosa makes me really curious about interesting dinosaur behaviors that we could be seeing. Anyway, back to the trailer. We saw part of this in yesterday's images, and I predicted this is the death of this specific character, which is an unnamed character played by Philippine Velge. I definitely mispronounced that. She still might die early on, but it looks like she survives this specific attack as the jaws snap shut without managing to grab her. The kid has plot armor, don't even worry about her. Just as Zora is about to fire her DNA collecting rifle at one of the Spinosaurus, the Mosasaurus breaches the surface right by the boat, rocking the boat. Now this Mosa? No notes. I love it. It's more paleo accurate than we've seen it in the franchise before, but still huge, just the way I like it. I absolutely love the design of it, and I can't wait to see more of it. Even the eye just looks so cool with how pale it is. Now this awesome scene is broken up by a line of dialogue that does grind my gears a little bit. You know, Dr. Henry Loomis is stating that the Mosasaurus and the Spinosaurus are working together, and it's obviously like possibly the most dangerous situation they could be in, and they've chosen to sort of interrupt that tension with Zora having this blasé line of, what you're saying is not good news. And like, yeah, duh, that's okay. But yeah, that sort of quippy, I don't care, I'm not scared, that vibe, I'm not really a big fan of, and I've talked about this before in this video. They've done it a couple of times, but this is the worst offender to me. But as I said earlier, I hope that the trailer editors just picked every little fun, quippy, Marvel-esque one-liner for the trailer because they think/know that that sells, and that it actually misrepresents how much we see of this sort of dialogue in the film itself. Okay, now for the timeline. It starts with the recruitment of Henry, then the recruitment of Duncan. They travel to the island, they arrive at the island at dawn, like a golden hour, and I think they're circling the island waiting for either the Spino or the Mosa to collect their DNA when they get attacked by both. This is gonna leave them stranded on the island, I think. I think the crew goes on with the mission, and the family maybe stays behind in a quote-unquote safe spot, so the story gets split into two. The crew encounters the Titanosaurus, then goes into the Ket's temple. They discover the research facility as the sun starts to set, and they explore the lab. And meanwhile, the family has the river raft encounter with the Rex. After surviving that, they end up back with the crew. They find another facility where they need to be, maybe to get to the pier or call for help, and while outside they hear the telltale barking of raptors, but they have no choice. They have to go in. They go into this facility where they encounter the raptors, but escape with a stolen vehicle. They make it to this pier where they will be picked up by a rescue team, and this is where they are confronted with the mutant, which is the finale. Potentially this shot is part of the finale, with them trapping the creature in some sort of chamber inside the facility, but the more I think about it, the more I come back to my first thought that it has to be a flashback, because I can't make sense of this one. Please help me out in a comment. As for how this mutant is defeated, I think instead of getting a rematch between the Spinosaurus and the Rex, I think they might accidentally team up to fight this mutant creature. Because aside from them coming together to take on this massive, super dangerous mutant, I don't know how else the movie can deal with it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more Jurassic World Rebirth news. We know that for the Super Bowl, they have a spot as well, potentially with new footage, so I will be delving into that. And of course, we have our live stream coming up as well on Sunday, where we'll be talking about this trailer and all of the theories we have. So I'd love to see you join in the chat for that. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and until next time, I'm hyped. What about you?